Well, it is the third Sunday of the month, and it's time for the teaching moment. Of course, we didn't have it last month because I was out of town. But before we get into the teaching moment, you have to allow for the history teacher and me to just come out a little bit. And the reason that has to happen is because although as I look around the room, the majority of the people in the room were probably not here during that time, but of course, 50 years ago today, after being placed on top of a rocket, which was built by the lowest bidder and shot into space, we had two Americans walk on the moon. And so the history teacher and me could not let that go past without mentioning it because it couldn't have been me. I have absolutely no idea to sit on top of a missile and get shot into space. But because we had three brave men who were willing to do it, 50 years ago today, I was not here, but 50 years ago today, that event took place. The teaching moment for this morning is going to be in line with the series that is going to be brought by the preacher of the hour in terms of we're going to be addressing an important woman in ministry and why she's important. There are only two books of the Bible that carry the name of a woman. Ruth and what's the other one?
Esther.
Ruth and Esther. Those are the two. And we're going to address how it's important for us to understand the inclusiveness of Christ. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me," who? What word is that? Come to me all. Come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. We're going to focus on that word, all. And we're going to focus on how Jesus shows us that all means all, not just some, but all can come to Jesus. And we're going to do that by looking at the lineage of Jesus Christ. So, I'm going to admit to you that I don't like genealogies in the Bible, you know, the whole who begat whose thing. And that's how Matthew begins. But it's important that we look at this because I think it says a lot about how God works and how God does things. So we're not going to go through that entire lineage that's in Matthew 1. We're just going to take it to David, but pay some specific attention to the people who are in this genealogy. These are the generations of Jesus. Hold on a minute.
You sure you were around 50 years ago?
I am positive. I wouldn't be around for 4 more. These are the genealogy. This is the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, son of David, son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac. Isaac was the father of Jacob. Jacob was the father of Judah, his brother. Judah, the father of Perez. Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. Perez, the father of Hezron. Hezron, the father of Ram. Ram, the father of blue skies. Could we, yeah, thank you. Let's see. So Ram is not the father of blue skies, but the father of Abinadab. Abinadab, the father of Nahshon. Nahshon, the father of Salmon. Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Now that's going to be important. So we have Tamar. We've had 2 women mentioned so far, Tamar and Rahab. Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed, the father of Jesse, and Jesse, the father of King David. David was the father of Solomon, whose mother had been Uriah's wife. And we'll stop there, because that's more than enough. It goes on for much longer, trust me. But there are 3 women mentioned by name, 4 women mentioned totally. Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and you don't get Bathsheba's name, you just get that she was the wife of Uriah. But why is that important? The reason it's important is because, first of all, Rahab is in the lineage of Jesus. Rahab was the prostitute in Jericho that hid the spies. Ruth. Ruth was not an Israelite. Ruth was a Moabite. Ruth is in the lineage of Jesus. And so even in the lineage of Jesus, we find these people who are outsiders. And that's why it's important for us to remember that Christ says, come to me all. It's not the ins and the outs, the Christians and the nones. God opens his door and he will accept all. It's not the well-groomed and the not well-groomed. It's not the rich and the poor. It's not the haves and the have-nots. When God calls and opens the door to all. He says, come to me all who are burdened and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And I think it's important for us to remember that as Christians. Because more often than not, the fights that we have within our denomination are between, well, we're the in group and they're not the in group. Well, the only in group that we need to worry about is the in group that has accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. They may not look like us, they may not smell the best, they may not have as much money, they may have more money, but it doesn't matter because God accepts and wants all to come on to him. Amen?